Hello. Today I'm going to talk about my build of the 135th Tamiya 35219 Willys Jeep. But on this occasion I also used some photo etch from Eduard number 35347, which is specifically built for this Tamiya kit. Now it's a lot more detail than the normal kit on its own, which is why I've left the bonnet open on this kind of MOT stroke service in the field kind of scenario that I'm doing. You'll probably notice that I haven't put the driver into the Tamiya Jeep yet. And that's basically because I want to show you some features within the Tamiya build, including the photo etch, which is particularly nice within the dashboard area. Through the video, I'll show you my take on photo etches. I've been modelling for 40 years, but never really done too much with photo etch apart from the odd mesh on a tank, which hardly requires any bending at all when gluing. So this was a bit more challenging for me. From what Tamiya's basic model is probably a 5-hour, 6-hour job if you include all the painting, etc. It took out to be a few weeks to actually finish this model and get some detail put into it. It is really nice detail, I must admit, and I didn't use all of the photo etch. I only used the photo etch which is going to build extra to the model. Some of the photo etch items are to replace part of the Tamiya plastic model, which in some cases didn't make any difference whatsoever, or very little difference at all, so I actually left that out. I do actually own a Willys Jeep, so I did have some nice reference material to turn to if I needed some. This video isn't to measure my skills as a modeler. I've been doing it for nearly 40 years, and I certainly don't feel myself as a professional, still an amateur. And this is just basically to show you the difference between the basic build from the Tamiya and the extras you get with the photo etch, which really makes some nice detail and makes the build come to life. I'll also go through some of the challenges I had with using photo etch for the first time in a build, as some of it can be quite tricky, quite intricate, and very frustrating at times. So these are just kind of like basic tools and basic instructions that I used or helped to get me through all of it. So I'll start from the front of the Jeep. The main part is the bumper. First point of call for the photo etch. This is obviously brass, a lot thinner material, metal, and a lot more authentic than the plastic Tamiya version that you get. After that you have the actual engine. Now there's some nice bits within the engine that you won't get within the basic kit. You get the radiator back, which you can't really see on this video because it's hidden there. But I had to burnish it to make it a darker colour as opposed to the brass, in case any primer or paint comes off. You don't want the brass popping through. It'd come out like a sore thumb if it did. So a nice burnishing material was used, and for that I used the MIG photo etch burnishing fluid, strangely enough. It did work a treat with the larger parts of the photo etch, not so good on the smaller parts. So that's the first part, and then at the top of the radiator you get the water filler cap. That's a photo etch. What you can't see is leads going to the spark plugs just there. Maybe just be able to see them. Unfortunately, it's hidden by the rest of the engine compartment, so you don't quite see it. The horn is also part of the photo etch. You do get one in the plastic Tamiya kit, but this is obviously a thinner material. Now on this, I tried rolling it because it is flat when you build it. My rolling is not great, so again, it's not a skills test. This is to show that it is part of the package. Also, you can't actually see it, but you actually get the holder for the bar that goes from the tub to the water radiator. This is part of the photo etch. What you don't get is the little bar between the tub and the radiator. Now this, I used a resistors metal part, this, which which is joined to the resistor. A nice little electrical component that I nicked from a friend. Well, I say nicked, so borrowed. And it turned out okay. Carrying on to the front, from the front of the build, you have the bonnet. Now within the bonnet, you have part of the photo etch is the sleeve for the lubrication chart. You don't get the lubrication chart which is inside. I'll show you how I've done that in a minute. But again, you have to bend the edges of it to make it into a sleeve, and I'll show you how I've done that a bit later on. Now, when it comes to the actual lubrication chart, which you can actually just see inside, I can open it if I wanted to, but I don't want to scratch the paint, is I actually took the bottom part of the photo etch, which was this. Now, this is plastic. This is the Tamiya original version that you get with the kit, which is already joined to the exhaust pipes. Now, if you use the photo etch version, you would have to cut the pipes and then measure it and put them back in appropriately. Now, because I'm not the best with photo etch, it's my first main thing with photo etch, I thought, well, people aren't going to see the bottom of this vehicle because it's going to be on its 4 wheels. It's not going to be blown up and on its side or anything. I decided to use that for the sheet for lubrication listing, and all I did for that was literally just cut it into shape, paint it, and then slide it inside the lubrication chart holder, and it turned out okay. Again, I've got a Willys Jeep at home, and I'll show you my actual version for comparison. And that also goes with the dark painting side on there. I've just used it as kind of a dark smoke from the engine, and my Jeep's exactly the same. Whether that's right or wrong, or maybe it's my engine's bad, but I just, again, it's part of the authenticity I've put into the vehicle. And my knowledge of Jeeps is very limited. I've only just bought the Jeep and still learning lots of it. But there are a few extra photo etch bits that are really nice, and they are on there. You see the bolts for holding down the bonnet when it's in closed mode, and also you get these nice little light brackets. Now, in reality, what you would do is unscrew the thumb screw, which you also get as part of the photo etch, and you would reverse the light so it's looking into the engine. And the idea was that you could work on the engine in the dark, assuming the lights work, of course, and then you could put them back to the original position and then lock it into place afterwards. Great design by the Americans on that one. Now, when it comes to the weight disc that you see on the grille there, that came from a photo etch part. You don't get that with the Tamiya kit. You do actually get the decal, but you don't get the actual disc there. You have to put on the Tamiya version, they ask you to put it somewhere else, but I put it on the grille where most of them are. Now, what I use for that is part number 96, which is part of the gun holder, which was replaced on the pillar there. But as you would see, there's stuff on top of that which you'll never see. So I use that as part of the disc holder for the front. And just by pure chance, the Tamiya decal is exactly the same size. That worked out perfectly. Now, when it comes to Tamiya decals, you'll know that they are quite thick because it is an old kind of model when they first produced. So the decals aren't as thin and easily manipulative as some other modern day decals, but it did the job. Now, I don't do scratch build, but what I also added was some electrical wire, that white there, and the black tubing there, which you can just see underneath the horn. And that's just literally some thinnest electrical wire I could find in the house, and just glued them on after looking at references to my Willys Jeep. Obviously, I think the wires in reality are a lot thinner, but that's the thinnest I can get. So following on from the wiring, the next part is the external fire extinguisher. So the actual fire extinguisher itself is the plastic Tamiya, but you do get the straps and holder for the photo etch, which is a lot more detail than it is on the plastic version. And also on the other fire extinguisher on the right, in the inside the vehicle, just about see it there. Again, you get the straps for that as well from the photo etch. Whilst I'm inside the vehicle, you will see that you get the foot pedals, which are clutch, brake and accelerator, as you can see there. And also you get on the gear sticks, you get the bottom plates, which are got more bolts than the plastic version. Okay, so also with the photo etch kit, you get the actual dashboard, as you can see there, and also you get the kind of template that shows you the speedometer, the gas, and the electrics, etc. On a template which sits behind the dashboard. So you get the plastic dashboard from Tamiya, you smooth it out with a file, then you put the template, which is kind of a transparent film with the dials on it in black, and then you put that in between that and the photo etch dashboard and stick it to the Tamiya one. Now, because the dials on the photo etch is plastic, clear and black, you don't see the dials so clearly. So what I did is painted the Tamiya plastic dashboard white, and then put the dashboard on with the dials, and then you can see the dials a lot more clearer. Hopefully I get a decent picture of this for you. As you can see, you also get the little handbrake handle on the dashboard. Okay, moving on to the driver's side of the vehicle, you do get the brackets and the straps for both the shovel and the axe, and also the sleeve to shove the shovel into, or the bracket should I say, not the sleeve. Now, unfortunately, because I opened the driver's safety strap and slid it over the side, you don't see all the details in there, but it is actually there. Moving on to the rear of the vehicle, you do get the radio antenna holder, which is just there, and the strengthening metal around the corner, which to hold that in place, all part of the photo etch. You also get the top bow straps, hold it down there, it's all photo etch, and you do get the strap for the jerry canner, which replaces the plastic one, which you have to file off the Tamiya version. A nice little extra. Also on the rear, you get these items. I have not a clue. As I said, I'm new to Jeeps, so these items are photo etched, nice and thin metal material as opposed to the thicker plastic versions. What you also get on the photo etch, so you can't really see because I can't zoom in, is you get the glove compartment door from the photo etch, and then use the Tamiya decals to put over the top, showing you the weights and all the do's and don'ts, etc. And also, which is a nice extra, you can't really see much on my model because you've got the bonnet up, but you have the masking tape in the shape of the windscreen wipers, so you can put that over the glass, or plastic glass, and then spray the mud over your windscreen, and then take the masking tape off, and it leaves a lovely windscreen wiper, clear as you can see there. And obviously, while I'm talking about the windscreen, you also get the glass openers on the side of the vehicle, just there, and the windscreen wipers itself, which again you can't see, and also the brackets that hold the windscreen in place. Again, extras that you don't get on the Tamiya plastic version. Now, you can use the top bow brackets and inserts from the photo etch, but I didn't use them because, to be honest, they're exactly the same, if not thinner, versions of what the plastic one is. You don't really see that much more detail, so I left them as they are. It was a lot easier than it would have been with the photo etch. Now, some extras that are actually in the photo etch, this is not in the actual Tamiya kit, is basically the radio, which is this there. Unfortunately, you don't get the antenna to go with it, but there is an extra side bit that should be there, but I didn't include it in there because it looked too busy, and I thought that just that on its own was just enough. Also, for the photo etch version, you use the plastic pillar for the gun holder, but you can have a tripod version where the tripods go to either side of the floors and one at the front. I thought again it looked a bit too busy, so I left them off. But you do get all the photo etch for holding the gun in place, the basket there, and the gun box, the ammo box, is also photo etch. Which replaces the plastic version. The bullets are actually photo etch, and I painted them gold and brass. I know it's bright, but I wanted to show out that these are actually there to kill people and show that it is a weapon, and just to show that it's not to be taken lightly. And they turned out quite well. When it comes to the actual gun itself, it's the Tamiya version for the whole thing, but then you add on the aimer there. I can call it an aimer, I don't know what it's called. The sight, that's it. And also you file down the rough plastic barrel and you put on the photo etch version. Now, the photo version starts off flat and then you have to roll it, so it's good to have like a pin or a cocktail stick or something to make sure you can roll it to a perfect circle. Mine isn't. You can just see mine slightly out, but it does the job. Another couple of items you get in the photo etch which you don't get on the basic kit is the safety straps to keep the driver and the passenger in the seats, and also you get the strap for the Tommy gun holster. Now that needs some manipulation and a bit of bending around the holster, which with a bit of patience you can do it. Did test me a little bit as it's my first time, but yes, it worked out okay and I'm quite happy with the results. You wouldn't be watching this if you weren't modelers already. There's a few extra items that I'm lucky to see on my Willys Jeep. Is the fact that I put some pop rivets in, which attaches from the canvas seats, which you can see just there. And I used a black and black grey, just to put some dots in where these pop rivets are, which attach the canvas for the seat to the metal frame of the seats. Just a nice little extra. And when it came to the wood, I don't know if you can see that much there, but basically I used, for the colours for that, I used basic skin tone from Vallejo, followed by flat earth to put some kind of grain into it. And after that I used some dark wash, or dark brown wash from Vallejo watch there, and several coats on depending on what level of darkness you wanted on the handles of the shovel and the axe. I didn't want it too dark, I didn't want them as if they're overused. But on the gun I used the same basic skin tone, flat earth, and then I put more coats for the dark wash to show it's been used more. For the dirt dusty effect on the floor of the tub of the Jeep, I've used some light sienna 73104 from Vallejo Pigments. Just lately sprinkled it and dabbed it in with an old brush in all the corners and nooks and crannies and on the tread plates that you get extra with the photo etch, where the driver and passengers sit. Now, a major thing that I did miss on this model, and this is basically because I was too busy looking at both sets of instructions, making sure I hadn't missed anything, and every time I did find something else, I forgot my routine of what I do when I build a model, and I didn't actually highlight the colour scheme on the Jeep. So I put the decals on straight away, and I forgot to highlight it, which really annoyed me. Thankfully, the bonnet is open anyway on this occasion, so that's where a lot of the highlight would have been. And just to show you what I mean by that is that here's a Jeep I did earlier, and there's the Jeep that I've just done. Now you can see the brighter olive drab that stands out on this vehicle, as opposed to the darker vehicle I've done here. They're both okay, but I prefer the lighter version. And while we're comparing these two vehicles, this is the photo etch version with all the extra strapping, tow bow ties, the straps on the gun. You can't really see too much more of the engine, although there is a lot more on the photo etch side. Obviously, as I said before, the spark plug leads and distributor you can't really see below the rest of the engine. What you can see is the difference on the side of the plastic one, you don't get the lubrication sleeve, and you don't get all of the brackets that I mentioned for holding the bonnet down and for the lights. It's still a nice version of the plastic one, but if you want to go that extra mile, then obviously the photo etch, I just do think it makes a difference. You do get the actual 30 or 50 cal gun on the Tamiya version, on the plastic version on its own, but on this occasion I just wanted it to put some extra jerry cans and ammo boxes that I found in my spares drawer in there as something different. So now I'll go through some of the areas that I fell short on when it comes to the photo etch, as it's been my first time. And as I said before, when it comes to the highlighting, I'll start with the instruction manuals. Now, first challenging thing is, now you've obviously got the original basic plastic build from Tamiya to build the actual Jeep. And then you've got the photo etch instructions, which are quite detailed as well. And there's one specifically just for the gun mount itself on its own. So you're looking at three kind of instruction manuals all at the same time. So it can be quite daunting. And what I found is that I was working on both at the same time and finding it very difficult to concentrate on one section at a time because you're constantly looking between one and the other. Towards the end, I was looking more at the photo etch version to make sure I hadn't missed anything than I was on the plastic build itself. Again, so what I ended up doing was highlighting the items on the photo etch sheet to say, yeah, I've done that and no need to look at it again. And as you can see, I didn't actually use everything. On the actual radio, there are some extra wires and that to put on in the front, but I didn't want to use those. I wanted to show off the radio front as clearly as I could, so I ignored those. But as you can see, I actually highlighted the items that I'd used on both sides. As you say, it's a fair bit. Again, I didn't use the barbed wire cutter for the Jeep because I'm doing a maintenance thing. I think it would get in the way of the people looking into the engine. So first thing I experienced when using photo etch is that they're very, very fiddly, and sometimes items would fall onto the floor. Now I have a thick carpet, and trying to find brass photo etch on a thick light brown carpet is a nightmare. So what I eventually did would put a plastic white sheet down, which I would probably use for decorating, onto the floor, and you could actually hear the photo etch drop onto it if I ever had that experience again, and I did find it quite easy. So that's a first for me. Coming on to some of the other tools I used, I would definitely recommend a tray of some kind, any kind of tray. This is an ice cream tray, and it's literally to put the photo etch parts in, because there are some very minute parts in there, and you don't want to lose them on a desk. And you can see the state of my desk. There's loads of paint, different colours. You just lose it completely. So it's best to put them all in a tray if you can. Applying photo etch glue, I actually used a pin to glue because the items are very small on certain occasions, like the handbrake and the foot pedals. So, and definitely the brackets for the bonnet holding. So it's definitely worth having like a little pin to put the super glue on, because it is quite small and fiddly work. Another godsend, believe it or not, is either a cocktail stick or a barbecue stick with a blue tack on top, and this was literally just to hold or pick up the photo etch and put back down again if you need to be. Again, these are bigger bits, so quite easy, but the smaller bits, it does exactly the same. It was a godsend, it really was, because tweezers, although they are good, they can sometimes snap, and that's where your photo etch goes flying off somewhere around the room, which did happen once or twice. I've got two sets of pliers, one for thick materials and one for the precision and very smaller items. Very sharp, those ones, but well worth it. And as you can see, I used the flat nose tweezers, angled tweezers, straight tweezers, again for the photo etch, and some of the smaller Tamiya plastic parts. Very well handy, but make sure you put a sheet down, otherwise you will see things flying if you're not used to using those pliers or tweezers. So for bending the photo etch, I used a Master Tools photo etch bending tool, strangely enough. And then the idea is you unscrew it, you put your photo etch in the side, depending on what size you've got, and then you would clamp it down, and then you do get tools to actually bend it, but I just, you know, you can actually just bend it with the tool or your hand, and then you've got, and then just release it, and then you've got your bent part of material. If you've got some smaller parts, obviously you get different sizes for the different intricacies of your photo etch. But I also found very useful is some flat-nosed pliers. And you just put the smaller items in there, attach them a clamp, and again just bend over with your finger or one of those little tools. Now for painting on the photo etch, I first roughened the surface of the photo etch, if possible, with the larger parts, with either filing it down with a nail file or a metal file, just to roughen the surface, and this would help the primer and the paint stick to it. Obviously, if the smaller parts you can't do that, and to achieve the same kind of effect, VMS brings something out called a Metal Prep 4K, which you're supposed to paint on to the photo etch a good 15-20 minutes before you put the primer on, and that should help the primer stick. Now, I had kind of positives and negatives, so sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, so I'm not sure how effective that actually is. However, when I did prime the photo etch, I used the VMS No Peel Surface Primer. Can get this in black and white, but I've got the black version. Now, you have to give this a good shake for a good 60 seconds, it's recommended, but I did it for 90 seconds, and it does actually stick to the photo etch quite well. I did try without shaking, and it certainly didn't adhere to the item as well as it should do, so it's definitely worth giving a 90-second or 60-second shake. As I said previously, if you want to burnish the brass, I use the MIG Photo Etch burnishing fluid. I said it worked for a lot of the photo etch items, but not all of it, so again, a bit hit and miss, but when it did do it, it did come out really well. So when gluing photo etch to the plastic, I actually use super glue, but if you're actually gluing the photo etch to the photo etch, like making the box for the radio, I used CA super glue to start with. I used the Gorilla version, which there's loads out there, you know that. But then after that, I also put on the Ultra Glue by Ammo. I use this kind of it's a bit like a sticky paste, really. But this also helps keep it a solid glue in place, and that did work. That was nice. And that kind of wraps up this video. It's my first video I've ever made, so I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions on any of the build of the Jeep, the diorama, then please let me know, put them in the comments, and I'll try and answer you as soon as I can. Obviously not finished yet, I still need to add the driver, as you see, and I want to put a few kind of accessories for the guys would have to make their Jeep in good working order. Thanks for watching, and I hope you've learned something, and if not, please teach me something on it. Thank you, bye bye.